Welcome everyone to the first video of 2026. I hope you enjoy. Have you ever tried to beat Oblivion Remastered hand to hand and one life only? Well, that is what we're going to try and accomplish today. So we start off by creating our character the same way we do usually. We just make ourselves a nice lovely standard orc. So now it is time to name our character, and we go with something a little bit odd but not too odd, so we settle on the name Ogdobo. And like usual, Ogdobo wakes up in this cell and we go to this gate and we instantly get ridiculed by this mother trucker at the other side of the cell, who's also in jail for some reason, but we never actually find out why. The blades then come to the cell to stand us near the window, and we get to meet the Emperor and have a lovely conversation, and then they open the secret passageway in our cell. So after an encounter with an assassin or two, we go and search their corpses for anything good they might hold, and we wait for the blades to move on so that the next entrance opens up for us and we get into our first full fight, which is against these rats. And trust me, it's a lot harder than you think going hand to hand, as you don't do too much damage, and actually these rats do a lot more damage to you than you do to them at the first. So really, it's a tough fight, but we get it done. We search the rat and we take their rat meat, and then we head on out. After going through parts of the cave, we come across this skeleton which actually has some leather armor on it, so we take the armor and we indeed replace our little rags with this armor. Once we got our armor on, we head towards the next area, but we find a goblin shaman to loot. So we do go through the cave a little bit more, exploring all the chests and taking on more and more rats, but we eventually come to a zombie which actually nearly kills us. We then move on, finding more rats to fight, more armor to take and attach, and moving on to the next area in the cave. And in this next area we sneak upon our first goblin, which we do try to take on as quickly as possible, aiming for the head as much as we can to do the most damage before he can take us out. And this was a much easier fight than I thought. We then run into another goblin that we take out, and then we run into this little trap here. We activate it to push logs and take out two goblins. Further into the area we fight more and more goblins, proving harder to keep from dying, and then we even manage to take out the goblin witch. We then catch back up to the Emperor and his blades, who are just about to get attacked by some assassins. We then get to pick our birth sign, get into a fight with these assassins, and even witness this. We then get to make our specialization, which will focus on strength and agility, and get our hand-to-hand athletes, heavy armor, and such other things that will benefit our playthrough. We then traverse the sewers and exit to the city owl through this gate, get into a fight with a mud crab, get into a fight with a wolf and another wolf, and then into a fight with a bandit, and then another bandit on top of that one. We then find a bed to level up our attributes in strength and agility. We continue our journey and get into a fight with a bunch of scamps and make it to Joffrey in Waynham Priory. Joffrey then sends us over to Kvatch, where we encounter our first ever Oblivion gate, and we prepare for hell. We convince this guy to stay with us instead of leaving, who then helps us take on the swarms of minions in this Oblivion realm. And unfortunately, he does meet his end. RIP Oblivion Gate guy, he will be missed. But then we continue to fight and avenge him. We then manage to cross the bridge to the Sigil Keeper. He then introduces himself and says, "Why are you here?" And we lock in for the fight of our lives, because this guy is actually really tough. Never mind. After getting the key, we did the only logical thing and made a run for the Sigil Stone, as we were getting chased by a bunch of minions, and now we just had to survive until we have closed our first gate. Upon closing the gate, we return to the commander, who says, "Oh, well done, thank you, can you help us out with the battle for Kvatch?" We enter Kvatch, where we then get into a bunch of fights with more minions from the Oblivion realm, and then we go into the chapel looking for brother Martin. Upon finding Martin, we get him to follow us. We then accept the battle for Kvatch, saying that we will help him. We head out to the courtyards, where we get into a bunch of fights, got told that the gates are locked, and we need to head back towards the chapel, where we then run into this guy who's a bit insecure and just insults us damn right straight. But we head to the Undercroft, where we get into a fight with a bunch of scamps, taking them on one by one and eventually beating all of them. After the fights, we head towards the locked gate and make sure that we can unlock them properly, and we get into another fight with some more scamps. Then we enter the castle, we get into more fights throughout it, find the dead count and take his ring, and return the ring to this captain. Then we head on our way back to Wayne Priory with Martin, but on arriving we run into this guy who is getting chased and tells us that assassins are attacking the priory. We get into a fight with these assassins and knock them out, and then we head to the chapel to help Joffrey take out these assassins in here. After the fight, we agreed to take Martin to Cloud Ruler Temple, where we encountered multiple bandits on the way and a mountain that was way easier to climb in this game than in Skyrim, and eventually ran into another gate. Upon entering the gate, we make our way to the top, where we let Joffrey and Martin do most of the fighting and end up closing this Oblivion gate faster than we did the first. And with that, the second gate was closed with me at ease. We felt on top of the world, so we headed to Cloud Ruler Temple, where nothing could stop us now.
I won't stop till I wear the crown.